Hey guys, welcome back. Robocraft Early Access coverage. This is episode 78. I'm Enigmius, and today it's the Manta in some matches. This is actually the second match that I got into with this bot. You'll notice that the rotors on the back have been reoriented, and that's because I went into one match, I didn't bother recording it. It was the first match that I went into just to see how things would kind of work out, and it turned out that I didn't have the redundancy that I needed to really expect to stay aloft for any length of time. So rather than having the useless vertical rotors on the back, we switched them back to horizontal for the extra lift, the extra redundancy. If you want to see that process of converting from the vertical to the horizontal, starting just after about the 10-minute mark in this video, will be the modification footage. It's just a few minutes, but honestly, I'm putting it there for the people just absolutely have to see it. I wouldn't bother. Quite frankly, this bot needs a rework from stem to stern. And the only way to find out exactly what, may or may not be working was to give it a try. Like we were talking about before, sometimes you might be pretty sure that it's not going to be that great, but you never know for sure until you try. I mean, we're trying. You see this railgunner down there, and me kind of being a little bit derpy, thinking, well, I've got lots of guns, so maybe I can do something. The trouble is you can't just reverse without exposing your underbelly. And when I did that, he knocked the guns off underneath. And then the next shot was basically the shot to the heart. Game over. Which kind of sucked, especially because I didn't quite see the numbers on those. But based on how close together they were, those weren't even tier 10 rails. Kind of sad, kind of disappointing. Maybe they were. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's not a good idea to go after rails in a bot like this because they're extremely well suited to doing horrible things, unless they're just awful, in which case it's a risk that you take when you close to their get into their firing range. Now, one of the things that I've always had difficulty with in any kind of bot that flies is what to do when all the ground bots go into a cave and you're left kind of hovering around up here. That guy that you just saw, the teammate who passed above me, he got a chance to spot these guys before I could see them, and look, it's their megabot. I have to say, I'm not a fan of the way the megabots have been introduced. I'm not at all a fan of having them in tier 10 at all. For the most part, I was enjoying the way the tier 10 game was playing out, the way it was before megabots were added. There were always those situations, people with bad habits, in your matches. If enough people with the same bad habits end up in your match, it's almost comical. But by and large, you could at least get into a match and feel like you could go, wherever you wanted with your group and not really encounter a situation that's going to result in a swift death. What we're finding with the megabots is that the megabot that has the most healers generally is the one that wins. So you've got nanos hiding behind the megabots, and if you try and take out the nanos, the megabots take out you. And the rest of your team, well, let's just hope they understand the difference between tunnel vision and, situational awareness. It's kind of a difficult thing for some people to grab hold of, but it's necessary. You can see here, I basically had all of my rotors taken off by that SMG Copter. So I took his rotors, and then his plasma bomber friend with the goddamn TX1 electroplates on the front end finishes me off. Did I mention that I'm not a big fan of the way the megabots have been implemented in the game? There's enough of them they can be in their own tier. They could fight each other in matches, all with megabots. They don't need to be in tier 10. Tier 10 was fine. It's just taking something that worked that people were largely happy with, as happy as people can be with team-based PvP, and they ruined it with this megabot crap. It's just such a tragedy. But all we can do is kind of keep on doing what we're doing, mostly focusing on builds until things change or we find something else to do. It's one of those things. I'm hoping that they're paying close attention to feedback and very, receptive to reconsidering the way things have been done, because this is just a tragedy, the way things are working out. Enough of that. There's a railgunner down there, and he's going to start shooting at me. And, He's the guy who just doesn't aim at rotor blades, apparently, because I'm going to take hit after hit after hit, and they're just going to keep coming, and I'm going to keep all my rotor blades, so I keep flying. It's just one of those things. You see how quickly we're able to turn, and then when we stop turning, we stop turning. We don't just keep going around in slow circles. It's fantastic. And here he's shooting me again, and you can see from the laser he's trying to aim at something, but all he's hitting is the side of the chassis, and that's just not the most useful place to hit this bot, because it's flat. It's not necessarily providing us with much of, any kind of protection from the underside, but from the sides, that's a lot of blocks you have to chew through before you get anywhere near the pilot seat or any of the components. So that was kind of shame on him for losing a fantastic opportunity to knock me out of the sky. So our team is kind of scattered all over the place. I'm not really sure what's up with these guys. It's tough to say. We've got, these guys over here, and then we've got the other guys fighting the megabots on the other side. Knocked this guy out of the sky, and now kind of, trying to get a few shots in. But another difficulty with this bot is because it's so large, it's big, and it's flat, you can't see what you're trying to shoot at on the ground because the chassis gets in the way. So you can spend a lot of time shooting at where you thought the bot was, but if it's moved, you have to move your entire bot just to see where it wound up, which is not exactly the best thing. Look at how many holes are getting shot into the chassis. If I was the kind of guy who was only offering selective access to the footage and only showing you guys the stuff that made me or my bots look good, this would be the prime example of look at this bot that we built that just lasts forever and never dies. But we know that's not the case. So we've got the enemy megabot down there with his entourage. In the time it took me to go chase that flyer down and then pretend to shoot him down in the valley and then come back, basically the entire team that was over here fighting him got wiped out. Megabot with 2 nanobots hiding behind him. There's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can be expected to do, and that's kind of the disappointment that I have with this whole system, is that it's not balanced, it's not reasonable, and it is not treating everyone equally. It's putting preference on the megabot builders. You've been with us, you've spent the money on premium, you've got millions and millions of RP. Build this bot and go into matches for this substantial advantage. And all the healers will want to heal you, and all the people who are smart will want to follow you and support you, and everyone else is just going to go to hell. That's what it is to me. And look at this bot with all the holes in the chassis, and it just keeps going. We've lost so much mass from the chassis that we can get by with 2 fewer rotor blades and still not notice a difference. And still lost, which is, how did that happen? Now this is our last match in this bot in its current iteration. And like I say, after this match, you'll be able to, if you want to see what we did to change so that we could put the rotors on the back, you can watch that. But what we're going to end up doing is since we know now that having the big flat chassis is more, harm than good, basically. And because we know that no matter what we do, no matter how much we protect the rotor blades from ground fire with this enormous chassis that's supposed to be kind of a barrier between people on the ground and our rotor blades, we can take a few more liberties with the design of the chassis so that the parts that are there are a little bit more beefy. They're a little less prone to being destroyed. There's only so much you can do with a bot like this, really. You can have the strongest connections in the world with the rotor blades, and the rotor blades can still get shot off so easily that it's not worth ramming your head against a wall trying to make it work with, protecting everything, and the rotor blades will never get shot off because we did such an awesome job of building. It's not going to work that way. So we're going to keep that in mind when we do the rebuild. And it'll, at the very least, it'll be a little more interesting to look at. We won't have to struggle so hard to see bots on the ground. And there are going to be a lot of cases, I would expect, where this bot would basically get ballooned. We will survive with the new iteration, and that's going to be the goal, is just upping the survivability, and, trying to keep ourselves in the air and fighting instead of just getting blasted out of the sky and sitting there wondering what the hell to do with ourselves. This is another example. Look at all our guys down there. We got plenty of nanos. We got the enemy megabot, 2 healers behind them, and then look at all the enemy bots that come flanking from the left side. And in literally just a few seconds, our entire offensive force down on the ground is completely toast. They're done. They're gone. It's just evaporated. It was a good play by the enemy team. They brought their mega up with a couple of nanos, keeping him going. I can't get this nano down through all the healing he's getting thanks to the completely inaccurate SMG fire that I'm throwing down by holding down the button, because at this point, I just don't care. It's to the point now with SMGs where even burst firing has become so inaccurate. to me, I'm just like, whatever. If it's close enough that I can get a clean line on it with burst fire, I will. But if it's just a little tiny dot, I'm just as likely to get hits with spray and pray as I am with burst fire. So there you go. And you saw within seconds, all but one of my rotors was peeled off. And the reason why that happened is because I was the last one there. There was me. Actually, no, I wasn't the last one there. I was the last one that they could reach. And now they've kind of advanced and they're shooting the last guy. And it's basically how all the matches go these days. So here's the quick rebuild, taking down the horizontal rotors. Or sorry, taking down the vertical rotors, replacing them with horizontal. You'll probably notice in this video that I put tier 5 rotors on the back. Same as what I had with the vertical rotors, just kind of moved them to the horizontal position. After this was recorded, I went and I bought a couple more tier 6 rotors because they're cheap as hell, and replaced the tier 5 with the tier 6. So that's why we had tier 6 in the matches. That's basically it for this bot. Like I say, next episode we're actually going to do some match footage in the new Pretty Hate machine, because we haven't done that yet. It's literally been weeks sitting in the garage doing nothing while we've been working with these rotor blades and all the Megabot nonsense. So we'll do that, and then we'll do the rebuild of this bot. We're going to try and beef it out a little bit. We're going to redo the design for the chassis so that we can hopefully maintain the offense without the balloon tendencies that it currently has. And then we've got the beginner's guide. We've got other builds that we're going to be doing. We've got all kinds of stuff going on. So if you want to be notified when I add those videos, you can always subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on social media. Links for that are always in the information section below the video. Please leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.